Here we go, Las Vegas, at 12 noon Pacific time on this Monday, December 20th, 2021. Live from City National Arena and Studio 31, this is Nighttime at Noon. Hello again, everybody. I'm Dan D'Uva with the Sheriff Shane Hnidy. We wish you season's greetings and welcome to yet another edition of Nighttime at Noon. We have made it back from Eastern Time. And thank goodness the jet lag works the other direction, because I have not yet adjusted to Pacific Time, Shane. I was up at like 5:30 this morning.
Well, and that's the way it is. It's kind of remarkable, and I know we're going to get to it all, but, you know, you think about it, how tired we feel. 4 games, 6 nights, 3 in the last 4. We're tired.
Right.
And the players, what they're able to accomplish and fight through a real impressive trip.
They have won 5 straight, including all 4 on the road trip, including the last 2 in shootout fashion. And it was a wild finish to the way it went against the Islanders. Robin Lehner's return to Long Island, brand new arena, UBS Arena. The Islanders, of course, had struggled a little bit. They had started to figure things out a bit, but the Knights actually win consecutive shootouts against the Rangers and then the Islanders to finish out the road trip. And they find themselves now at a season high 9 games over 500. They've got 20 wins against only 11 losses, and there's only one team in the entire NHL with more victories than have the Golden Knights. That's the Carolina Hurricanes. Vegas comes into the day number 1 in the Pacific Division, number 2 in the Western Conference, and you get into the tiebreakers, points percentage, goals. But, wow, this is going into the holiday break with 2 games to go here. This is the highest point that the Knights have had all season.
And, you know, a lot of that is, you know, product of getting healthy. Although they were out without their captain, Mark Stone, last game. And I think, you know, when you inject that amount of talent and personnel back in the lineup, you know, there's an instant jolt to the team. There's an energy boost. But it speaks to what Pete DeBoer talked about. You get those veteran guys in, and all of a sudden the structure and the process he talked about, staying on it, is there. And when you play the right way, and then you have that amount of talent and skill, because they've been able to score a ton of goals. It's remarkable. Is it 45 goals over the last 10 games?
They have basically double the number of goals that the New York Islanders had going into the game the other day. The Knights are well over 100, and New York is still below 60. Yeah,
the Islanders have their own struggles. We don't need to worry about it. They did find some offense late, made that game very exciting. I liked the way the Golden Knights played that Islanders game. I thought it might have been one of their more complete, along with Boston. The 2 games in the middle, they found ways to win. Well, they found ways to win basically those last 3 games. You know, New Jersey fought back. They stuck with it. The Rangers, they were down 1. This one, they were down. So it's impressive, and it does a lot for a team, because in a long season, 82 games, all your wins are not going to look the same. You know, they took advantage of, you know, unfortunately, Boston without their leading scorer, Marchand, Islanders without Barzal, Rangers without Panarin. So but hey, it's not a league of excuses, but you got to take advantage of those, and they were able to.
Right. Nobody was making excuses when the Golden Knights were without Pacioretty, without Stone, without Karlsson, and what do you know? With those guys having come back, Stone and Pacioretty had those incredible scoring streaks. I mean, some of the best runs, not only in Golden Knights franchise history, but in the impressive careers of Pacioretty and Stone. That was a big impetus at the beginning of this current run, with the Knights having won 7 out of 8, but the last couple of games, there have been some other guys stepping in, Shane.
And it's good. I believe it was after that Boston game that Jonathan Marchessault talked about. The next day, they're a little bit of competitive. Right? It's great to see those guys. They're happy they're scoring, but you know, that line with Karlsson and Smith felt they needed to get going. You know, Karlsson had the goal against New Jersey, and Jonathan Marchessault continues to roll along. And then the depth guys, as you said, you know, the fourth line played really well for them against the Rangers. Brett Howden had a goal and assist. Carey had the goal against the Devils. So you're seeing those guys step up. And then Nick Waugh wins it in a shootout. Like, just important contributions from everybody, and the depth of the team really showing up when that top line, as good as they'd been, all of a sudden it got a little bit dry with Stone. It wasn't going to go all year long. We're not seeing a Wayne Gretzky streak again of 51 games. 9 games is impressive, and you know, at some point you needed to find offense elsewhere. They continue to get it from the blue line. Dylan Coghlan, Shea Theodore. It's just been impressive, and that's what good teams are built with. Good teams are built when you get contributions up and down the lineup and you win different ways.
Let's talk about the scoring by defense. I mentioned Dylan Coghlan, and there's been a little bit of a battle there with Dylan Coghlan in, Ben Hutton in, Shea Theodore missed a game. He was under the weather. Coghlan goes in and wants to show the coaching staff, hey, I should stay in here. What does he do? He puts up 3 points in a couple of games, including goals in consecutive games. What have you seen from Dylan Coghlan?
Well, I think for him it's confidence. He's still a young defenseman in the National Hockey League, and you're still learning the game, what you can do and how he best, uses his tools that are going to give him success. He's an offensive guy. He always has been. He's worked on the defensive part of his game. I think he's a great skater. He's in terrific condition. And for him, when you're young, and he's talked about it, it's the mental side of it, right? When you're in and out of the lineup, the ability to build that mental toughness, to prepare yourself. Those games you're not in, you can't pout, you can't do anything. You've got to do everything you can to make sure you're prepared that when you do get the call, that you can come in and be impactful in whatever way possible. And I think he was able to do that. He got the opportunity. It's anything in life and in sport is opportunity. When you get a chance, you got to make the most of it. And that's how you stay and become a full-time professional athlete, hockey player. And it was a huge goal for him, and then you could tell more confidence, and it continues to build as he stays in the games. The challenge is, though, as they get healthy, there's still a guy named Alec Martinez we haven't talked about that, arguably their best all-around D-man last year. This year, I think Alex Petrangelo is just, he is elite. He's been terrific. But confidence is such a big factor. Shea Theodore, finally, it was nice to see him score a power play goal in regular season, Dan.
It had been since March of 2020, the last time he scored a regular season power play goal. We're talking over 100 games played without a regular season power play goal. We add that caveat of regular season because he did have a few during the playoff run last year, but you throw in that along with his 5 power play assists, the 2 goals the other night, and it seems to me like I don't want to downplay the offensive prowess of Golden Knights teams past because there have been big contributions, but pick your number here. Vegas has the second most goals by defensemen in the NHL. Percentage of points from defensemen, Golden Knights are 4th. You're right there. And we mentioned they've been without some guys. I don't know that Shea has really hit his offensive stride. Maybe you're starting to see that. You throw Petrangelo into the mix here, but even Zach Whitecloud has 5
goals. And Nick Hague has offensive instincts. Dylan Coghlan. Braden McNabb's chipped in, but he's more of that guy. He's going to be a defensive shutdown type of role. And Martinez can certainly add to it. Yeah, and it's impressive. They're second in the league, and only to Colorado. And to be fair, Cale Makar, was he at 13 goals already this year?
That's the reason why.
That's the reason why they're number one.
They've got 28 goals from defensemen. Vegas has 24.
Yeah. So, but I think in a league now, and I've seen it. I've seen it grow from playing to now. Just how offensive the blue line needs to be if you want to be a successful team. You're starting to see, even the makeup of a blue liner. It used to be big, heavy shutdown. You're a Jersey fan, the Scott Stevens, the Ken Danicos. Now you're seeing more of the Scott Niedermayers. You're seeing, you've got these young defensemen, Shea Theodore, Cale Makar. We saw Adam Fox in New York, who's a tremendous young player. Quinn Hughes, Miro Haskin. It goes on and on. That you've got to play in this league. You've got to be mobile. You've got to have the ability to move the puck, to skate the puck out of your own end, and then jump into the rush. And it's encouraged by coaches now. Coaches want that second wave of attack. They want their defensemen to be active up in the rush, to join the play, to try and find those open seams. It's not as stagnant. Stay out at the blue line. No, there's not only off the rush, it's in zone, offensive zone. There's lots of movement now. There's switches. You're trying to find separation because, the league got so defensive and they shut down that area in front. You try to open up space, and the more movement, and you need blue liners, defensemen, to be able to do it.
I was interested to hear Ryan McGill talking about that point with reference to Alex Petrangelo because, Gary asked the question of Ryan McGill, Petrangelo, you put him in the top 5 defensemen in the National Hockey League. Gary couldn't even finish the sentence, and Ryan McGill says top 2. Right? Yeah. And then talks about how it's not just a matter of what Ryan's producing, and sometimes maybe a fan might look at Alex and say he's doing too much, he's getting down low too often, and Ryan says that's not the case at all. that's what they want him to do. That's what he wants to do because he's also so responsible.
And, so many times they say it is a read and react sport. It's not, it's not like football where you're running set plays or whatever. You've got to read and react out there, and his anticipation is world class. You look if his partner has a shot, his ability to creep down, and the puck always finds him. Mm-hmm. He's always in position for the puck, and I think, that's what just makes him elite. One of top 5, top 2, and Ryan McGill is the guy who coaches and runs the blue line. He sees it firsthand day in, day out. And maybe the best, answer he gave on the end of that question we asked when Gary asked it was he said, the thing that really separates him as well is he can play. You name the style of game you want him to play, he can adjust and play it. If you want to be physical, he has that in the bag. If you want to play an offensive, rush game, you can do that. If he needs to shut it down and be just any piece, whatever style of game you want to play, he has the ability to play it.
Can you put your finger on it, Shane, how Alex is different right now as to compare it to where he was, let's say, 20, 30 games into last season in his first year with the
He's
Knights?
comfortable. He understands the system. And, I think we saw that when a player and a top player, elite player, is with one organization their whole career, and now you switch, and there gets a point where you want to get comfortable, not only for yourself, for your family. There's that element too, the human element that maybe doesn't get talked to. Make sure whether it's your wife, whether it's your kids, everybody's set up. They feel comfortable now in a new place because it's a big transition to move, especially when you've been in one place so long. And then it's new systems, it's new guys, it's new terminology, it's new teammates that you adjust to. And I think we saw Alex Petrangelo. He was still terrific last year, but this year and the same thing, Max Pacioretty. Think of his first year here after being in Montreal his whole career. He scored 22 goals, and all of a sudden he's back up to the 30-goal mark. Once all those elements came into play.
And having a terrific run that did come to an end, but, he had points in 9 out of the 10 NHL games that he had played this year, and the only one he didn't was the game in which he was injured back on October 14th. An incredible run for those guys. And then the last couple of games without Pacioretty and Stone continuing those streaks, as we talked about, other guys stepping up. You're listening to Nighttime at Noon here on Fox Sports Las Vegas. We've got plenty more to talk about. First, quick look at the schedule for today. You have one game that has still been left on the board. There have been 4 others that have been postponed. We thought that it might be Alex Tuch's Buffalo Sabres debut today, but that game against the Columbus Blue Jackets has been postponed. Montreal and the Islanders postponed. That's part of the cross-border situation. The NHL has said no cross-border games for the time being. Colorado at Detroit has been postponed. The Ducks and Oilers postponed. Again, another cross-border situation. The one game that will be played is the conference-leading Minnesota Wild against the Dallas Stars. So those are the games that were scheduled for today, and as of now, just the one is left on the schedule. Knights play tomorrow against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Currently, there are no COVID issues with either the Golden Knights or the Lightning. Obviously, the reason for a number of these postponements is the COVID situation, the border situation, and so on. We could touch on that shortly. When we come back, we're going to touch on Robin Lehner and his return to Long Island, not only going back there for the first time, the hockey side of it, the personal side of it. We'll hear from Robin Lehner when we come back. First, let us tell you about the spectacular Hotel Californian in Santa Barbara. Well, it's the newest exciting addition to the Foley Entertainment Group. Experience an extraordinary stay in one of 121 luxury guest rooms and suites. Taste the region's finest wine at Foley Food and Wine Society Tasting Room, and treat yourself to unparalleled massage at Majorelle, the Moroccan-inspired spa. All in the heart of the American Riviera, designed for domestic and international guests alike. Hotel Californian is the perfect destination for any traveler seeking a one-of-a-kind luxury experience. Hotel Californian is Santa Barbara's premier urban destination. Visit hotelcalifornian.com to book your stay today. With Shane Hnidy, I'm Dan D'Uva. It is 12:14 Pacific time on Monday the 20th. You're listening to Nighttime at Noon on Fox Sports Las Vegas. Well, how about that? Nicholas Waugh with the shootout goal against the Islanders yesterday, making a winner out of Robin Lehner. Welcome back to Nighttime at Noon at City National Arena in Summerlin, Studio 31 with Shane Hnidy. I'm Dan D'Uva. Thanks for joining us. 2 shootouts in a row, and the Knights, they have one win in overtime this year, Shane, and now a few wins in shootouts, and I'm not sure if I would have picked Nick Waugh as the most impressive shootout performer this year, but he is, unequivocally.
And what a move, that last one. And I just said to you off air, I said it kind of looked like Panarin, Kane, Patrick Kane, Claude Giroux, guys that have been around the league doing it a long time. And that last move, what impressed me most was, he usually goes to the backhand, but he cut back to the forehand, and he put that upstairs. In tight, the ability to elevate the puck. You have to get over the pad. Goalies are so good at going post to post with their legs, and it's not as he made it look really easy. It'd be difficult to do, but just a great move by him. Shea Theodore had one earlier, and then Robin Lehner, who struggled with shootouts previous in his career, and I know he has worked at it. Mike Rosati is this goaltender coach. They've done a lot, just getting his timing and patience. And he's won a couple now this year. So, hey, it's all you look at is the win column. Doesn't tell you how. It's a win's a win.
Indeed. You talk about the practice that Robin has done with Mike Rosati, and it was also fun to see Mike Rosati dressed as a goalie for a couple of morning skates on this trip in New Jersey. We're looking around. Who's the backup goal? Oh, my goodness, that's Mike Rosati.
Well, we saw Darren Millard. Anybody can do it if they get him. If they got Millard for one practice, you can put anybody out there. It might be you or me next time.
Oh, no, that would be ugly. But at some point earlier on this season, Robin was spending time during a practice with Mike Rosati, and they had grouped together 9 skaters to do 3 rounds of shootouts. They didn't have so much a competition, but between each round of 9 players, Mike Rosati went over and talked to Robin Lehner and worked on this, worked on that, and then the next group of 9 went. But of the players who caught my eye, Nick Waugh was top of the list.
Oh, and would have caught Pete DeBoer's eye as well. That's why he selects him to go in. And, some guys just have a knack for it. He's a big, tall guy. He's got a long reach, and, obviously got confidence to go in and pull off those moves. So, good for him. And it's not always the guys you think that'll be going in a shootout, and I think it's good. Sometimes a lesser known, and the thing is, you usually have scouting packs on both sides. Goalies will be familiar with the players, the shooters are familiar with the goalies. Look, Nick Waugh wouldn't have as much of a resume for the Islanders to look at for a shootout to present to their goaltender, which would have been Sorokin. And Shea Theodore, we've seen that move from him a few times, I'm sure, but still there's always, I'm not one that went in shootouts. I did it twice in the old the IHL. And it's go in and shoot. I didn't want, if I stick in, I was going to lose the puck. So I just made sure you get a shot on goal at least. 1 for 2, though, Dan.
1 for 2.
1 for 2.
That was my next question.
But, guys, and it's a skill you got to work on. It's an important piece of the regular season that you want to get wins, you want to get points. And just like 3-on-3, we've seen it kind of just, take different strides. When they first started, it was run and gun. Now it's you want to have puck possession. You see guys, they'll throw it back to the goalie. They'll take it back for a change. Because you're trying to look for that you're trying to set up an odd man rush, a grade A opportunity. And if you miss on that, it usually leads to one the other way. So both are big parts of the game now in regular season, both 3-on-3 overtime and shootouts, and it's something teams practice.
Robin Lehner, who in his Golden Knights career has a winning record in the shootout now. He's 3-2 in the shootout since coming to the Knights, and notably, it's been 3 wins in a row, including a couple this year for Robin, and did not give up any goals in the shootout against the Islanders the other day. Laurent Brossoit had the shootout victory against the Rangers a couple of days before that. But let's talk about Robin Lehner here, Shane.
Yeah.
But let's set the scene here as you go to Long Island. It's the first time that the Knights have been there in the Robin Lehner era. Robin spent 1 year with the Islanders organization, won the Jennings, first of 2 Jennings trophies in his career, and a great run, but it was just the one season there, the 18-19 season. But this was a point in his life, not only his hockey career, but a challenging point in his life, and it has meant so much to him how the community there supported him that he had the map of Long Island tattooed below his left ear. He's got other tattoos, but it seems to me if you're going to take that step, it puts into context what Long Island and the Islanders family meant to him in getting not only his career back on track, but his life back on track.
It was more than a hockey season, and way more impactful than just 1 year. It was a turning point in his life, personally and professionally. And the fans, you hear him speak about it, they're the ones that really pushed him through a very difficult time. And he was very excited to get back there. To play. It'd been longer than probably he would have liked to get back to the island, but certainly an emotional day for him. And Pete DeBoer even had some interest. He said it's tougher for a goalie to play an emotional game because goalies, you want to be calm, cool, kind of let things go. You're a player, you can feed off that excitement, that emotion, that adrenaline a little bit more. So, for Robin, special day. His attachment with the New York Islander fans, as you said, resurrected his career, changed his life, put him on a real good path, and he's become a very important voice, and for mental health, not only across the league but across everywhere. And he reaches out to everybody. It's important to him. This was more than just a hockey game for him, and it was nice that they were able to get the win.
And so much reverence that he decided to buzz his beard. As Lou
That's
Lamoriello
right, yeah.
is not a fan of
I wouldn't have lasted under Lou. I don't think the last time I was clean shaven, I can't even remember.
So Robin sent out a tweet before the game showing the empty sink, other than the hair that he had buzzed off of his face. So that takes place. There's a terrific ovation for Robin when he comes out for warm-ups. First media stoppage, a video tribute. Great reaction from the Islanders fans. At one point during the video tribute, they show the close-up of Robin standing by the Vegas bench. He points to that tattoo of Long Island on the side of his neck. Emotional moment. Here's Robin speaking about that return to Long Island in Cut 1. I'm not hearing the clip, Shane.
No, I can't hear it. Maybe we got a little technical difficulties here getting this played.
Right. Well, someone let me know if we've got Cut 1 ready, and we'll try to get back to it. But again, as Robin has said before, he repeated some of those comments afterwards, and to talk about that ovation that he received and how special it was to have that as he made his return to Long Island and getting the win too. Listen.
Yeah.
I'm sure that it would have been just as meaningful emotionally, even if he had not come up with the win, but to walk out of that building with 2 points. And Jonathan Marchessault said it on our radio broadcast that the guys know the situation.
Oh, absolutely.
And they went above and beyond to try to get that win for Robin to the degree that they came back to force the shootout. There were a couple of times it looked like the Knights had fallen behind, and they came back.
Yeah, but thought they fell behind.
Yeah.
The second goal, you could tell by Robin Lehner's reaction, not happy. It was kind of a bit of a screenshot through Petrangelo, the Bellows goal. And then, think Cal Clutterbuck scores, but then they're saved by the offside. But it didn't take less than a minute later. Then Pajot goes ahead again. But, that's what makes good teams when you have guys willing to step up, understanding that this was an important one for their goaltender and go to 6-on-5 and able to find a way to tie it up. And then Robin Lehner was terrific in overtime. I think shots were 7-1 for the Islanders. Vegas, you could tell that was game 4 in 6 nights. The legs did not look fresh in the overtime, especially with just, in 3-on-3 where you've got to have a lot of energy, got to have a lot of jump. And Lehner came up with some great saves there. And then in the shootout, as he got a couple of goals from Theodore and Waz, we talked about earlier. Just a real good team win and an end to a terrific road trip. Just winning different ways throughout it, finding ways to get it done. And, certainly not only that, then we've talked about the COVID and the team shutting down. All that's buzzing around too. So to maintain focus and, worry about the task at hand right now with everything swirling around the league. Guys would have been on calls with the NHLPA throughout all this saying, okay, where are we at? What's going on? Are we going to play? But when you get on the ice, I think that's kind of relief for everybody. That's where you have that singular focus.
Last thing I want to talk about with regard to goaltending, Shane, would be how Pete DeBoer has utilized Robin Lehner and Laurent Brossoit we thought for sure that it would be Brossoit going against the Devils on Thursday and then Lehner against the Rangers on Friday. But clearly the design worked because they won all 4 games. Lehner, of course, in Boston, then Brossoit, or I should say Lehner with the Devils, then Brossoit with the Rangers, and then back to Lehner for the Islanders in the last game of the 4.
Yeah. When I got into broadcasting, I figured out really early that I was going to stop guessing who was starting or how a coach is going to roll as goaltenders. I've never been asked, neither of you, of what they should do, and I don't think we ever will. But Pete DeBoer certainly, they have a plan in place. Him and probably Mike Rosati talk about how they want to, rotate the goalies in and out, which games look best. They have analytics. They have everything that they take into account. And for whatever reason, this worked out. 4 wins. You can't argue with the way they've been able to play both of them. Lehner, we thought we'd seen Brossoit in some more games, and I think we may here as they go forward. Schedule's busy. Still have 2 here before the Christmas break.
That's right. Tampa Bay coming up tomorrow, and then a couple of days after that, on the 23rd, it's the Los Angeles Kings, and then it will be the Christmas break. Knights return after Christmas to play the Colorado Avalanche on the 27th, and then down in Los Angeles on the 28th, and then begins a 6-game homestand. So you add it all up, that's 9 out of the next 10 games will be at T-Mobile Arena. And if the Knights haven't already taken advantage of the way they've been playing recently, as we talk about, they're at a season best 9 games over 500, with all the home games upcoming, all the more reason to really try to pad the lead that they have. Again, currently, by the slimmest of margins, by tiebreaker, number 1 in the Pacific Division.
Well, and this is where you need to take advantage of that opportunity. Home ice, we know how electric the Fortress can be, and how they feed off that energy of the crowd, and they're going to need it here. This is a great chance, as you just mentioned. You want to try and bank points. You want to try and create separation with those teams under you, and this is going to be a great opportunity for them to do it with all those games at home, and continue. Hopefully health stays there for them, and they can get even healthier. As we know, there's a certain player that it seems so far away when they traded for Jack Eichel, but all of a sudden, boom, we're almost here at the end of December. And, it's starting to become a reality, getting closer and closer.
All right, before you blink, it's going to be a countdown of weeks rather than months, and then after that it's going to be days. You're going to see him practice at some point with the team, and that's not that far off. So, Lightning coming up tomorrow, and then on the 23rd it's the LA Kings, both games here at T-Mobile Arena for the Golden Knights. Again, they have won their last 5, including 4 in a row. When we come back, we've been talking about home cooking on the horizon, but in our world, traveling for the holidays and traveling for hockey often creates a confluence of challenges. And we'll go into the story archives here with all the traveling that Shane has done through the years, what this time of year has presented. That's all coming up. You're listening to Nighttime at Noon on Fox Sports Las Vegas. Well, that was the dangerous moment that turned out not to be for the Islanders. Shane, when that third period started, it looked like maybe the Knights were going to take a victory for the first time, scoring fewer than 3 goals.
Yes.
All year out of their 20 wins, none of them have come with scoring fewer than 3 goals. But they were ahead 2-1.
They were, and in control, really. I liked the way they were playing in that game. I thought the Islanders, much like Vegas, maybe against New Jersey, was opportunistic. They took advantage of a couple of breakdowns, turnovers, but for the most part, Vegas, I thought, was really good on their forecheck. I thought puck decisions were where they needed to be against the Islanders. I thought it was a consistent effort, in a tough situation, being the last game of the road trip, an early start after just playing back-to-back, basically Thursday, Friday. Saturday off, but that not even a whole, like, you're playing at 2 p.m. Eastern time. I was impressed with the way they were playing, but, credit to the Islanders. They got a little bit of momentum. They got a little bit of jump, took advantage of it, but Vegas was able to answer back.
Right, and the clip that you just heard was a goal that didn't count.
No, got offside.
Offside, so that didn't happen. That would have tied it 2-2. Shortly thereafter, Kiefer Bellows did score, and it did count. That made it an actual 2-2 tie. And then Jean-Gabriel Pageau made it a 3-2 New York lead. When you think about Shea Theodore's performance, Shea had his 5th and 6th of the year, then the shootout goal, and obviously that last one with a minute to go.
Basically a hat trick.
It's a
doesn't count like
day
that
for Shea. So that's the clip that you heard a moment ago. The Knights victorious, and now they have won their last 4 consecutive road wins, both season highs, and they're home against the Lightning tomorrow. And only 2 teams have better records than have the Golden Knights since Vegas's 1-4 start, and that 4th loss was against the Islanders 2-0 October 24th. And those teams would be Tampa Bay and Toronto. And it's the Tampa Bay Lightning coming to town for the game tomorrow. Before we get to that, I want to tell you about the Henderson Silver Knights. And if you need more hockey, well, we've got it over in Henderson. And for the time being over at the Orleans. Make sure to check out the newest team in town, the Henderson Silver Knights of the American Hockey League. We'll talk about the American Hockey League here in just a moment with some story time. They've got single game, group, and mini suite tickets for home games during the 21-22 season. Those are on sale now, and you can contact the Henderson Silver Knights ticketing team. The phone number is 702-645-4259. Again, the number is 702-645-4259. The website is hendersonsilverknights.com. Great holiday gift. Go check out some American Hockey League action. See the Golden Knights of tomorrow shining today with the Henderson Silver Knights. Again, the website, of course, hendersonsilverknights.com. Well, Shane, maybe it's a little bit easier at the NHL level to get from city to city. They take good care of the Golden Knights. And the Golden Knights broadcasters, may I add. The planes, the hotels, Rick Bronstein, team services, he is on top of everything. There's not too much that we want for. But it wasn't always that way. Traveling in the minors is a challenge when you're getting called up from the minors to the NHL. That's a fun experience. But especially this time of year where travel is always a big part of it, the way that things go this time of year. So I'm wondering, Shane, in your time, whether in the NHL, the minors, have you had any travel stories, especially Christmas travel stories, the craziness that seems to come around every December?
Yeah, and well, now it's a little different in the NHL because they get the 26th off. They never used to be that way. It used to be a lot of games on the 26th. And
can't travel, no
Can't
games.
travel. So you'd only have basically the 24th, 25th. Now it's the 24th, 5th, and 6th. So that changed. I can't remember. What bargaining agreement are we at now? I think was it the 12, 13, somewhere in there.
12-13 was the last work
when
stop.
they added an extra day to it. So, you know what? And I remember in the American Hockey, there's a couple I spent alone. You're younger. But as I got older, the one was when I played for the Minnesota Wild. So it was when the 09-10 season. I flew back to Canada for Christmas. It was a short break, and it was bad travel both ways. On the way there, so I'm flying just from Minnesota to Manitoba, which is a short flight to Winnipeg. But because of the snow, I got rerouted to Fargo.
Fargo.
And
Sounds like
Fargo.
you're
So
making
now
another
I'm
movie.
in Fargo, and it's a 3.5-hour drive home, and it is a blizzard. I go, I rent. They don't have anything. All I get is a rear-wheel drive Toyota Corolla or something like that. Not the best car to hammer through a snowstorm, but I'm Canadian. I'm like, I'm going to do this. So I powered through. I was able to. It was a little bit of white-knuckled steering, but found my way, got back. I remember we had an elevated driveway, and just to speak of, how fortunate I was, I couldn't even get up the driveway because snow. So, but I made it home, so it was great. Had a great Christmas, but I had to get back. We played Boxing Day, I guess that's a Canadian term. Sorry, the 26th.
It shows
Played-
up on my
play-
calendar.
play-
I
I
remember
know.
as a kid seeing Boxing
Play the
Day. Like, oh, we're going to
26th.
see a boxing match.
So I had to get back. We had a 10:30 a.m. skate in Minnesota. My flight got on it. Of course, I get delayed. But I fly in. I land in Minnesota. I called my coach. I'm running late. I got to the arena. This is around 10:24. I remember looking at it. Or 10:25. I sprint into the room. And the coach was like, all right, get out there as soon as you can. Practice starts 10:30. And if you're not on time, you're going to hear about it. Not so much from the coach, but from your buddy, the teammates. You're gonna,
right, no.
and it's probably going to cost you a very expensive lunch or dinner for being late. I incredibly got dressed, and I made it on at 10:29, and I can't remember the seconds because they had the watch going. And I jumped over the boards onto the ice, and I got a standing stick tap from the boys. So it was that was probably the most eventful trip
Wow.
both ways at Christmas time for me.
And then what happened in the game?
And we won. Yeah, I told you that. St. Louis. And I scored that night on now their current analyst with the Nashville Predators, Chris Mason.
How about that? So, not that you would make a habit out of getting onto
No.
the ice with seconds to spare.
No, well, it was morning skate. Then I got to relax after that, had my nap, got in regular routine, and kind of settled down. But it was, I'm a very anxious I hate to be late. It's one of my pet peeves, and I get really, but I made it, got through. I don't want to relive that again.
Oh, no. Well, I'll give you a sort of a Reader's
What do you got?
Digest version of it. Actually, today is the anniversary, and I think it was 2015, so 6 years ago. American Hockey League, I'm doing the games for the Syracuse Crunch, and they're playing in Hershey against the Hershey Bears. And from Syracuse, New York to Hershey, Pennsylvania, it's about 4 hours. And it was the last game before the break. So the thinking is, after the game, the team is going to take the bus back to Syracuse, and then everybody leaves. A lot of guys are going to drive through the night. And remember Matt Taormina, NHL defenseman for a long time. He was with the team at the time. He and his girlfriend, now wife, were going to get in the car. If you get back to Syracuse, let's say at 2 a.m., they were going to get in the car and drive to Michigan through the night. Guys had early flights the next morning. So it's a big thing to get back as quick as you can.
Important.
On here the 20th of December in 2015. And so, as luck would have it, this was close enough to home where my dad actually drove out to Hershey. So my dad's coming to the game. Now, this doesn't impact my travel whatsoever, but it factors into the story. Show up there at the rink in Hershey, and we're getting ready to do the game. It's holiday time, and Hershey has its Hall of Fame ceremony. And unbeknownst to me, the MC for this ceremony is Mike Emmerich, voice of hockey, who had lived in Hershey for many years. And I didn't know this was happening until Doc tapped me on the shoulder outside the Crunch dressing room before the game. I said, Doc, what are you doing here? And he explained what was going on. And at the same time, my dad is calling me because he's trying to figure out where to park. And I said, Doc, I'm so sorry I've got to run. I'll see you later. Let me introduce you to J.W. Aiken, who's another Bowling Green alum. And J.W. Aiken is now a Golden Knights equipment manager, but he was with us with the Syracuse Crunch as well. They had the Bowling Green connection, so I had them talk to each other, and off I went to find my dad. But I really didn't know if I'd see Doc again. Fast forward, pregame ceremony. Doc does a great job. Start calling the game. Doc comes up to the booth. Door opens. Doc walks in, shakes hands with my dad, sits down, puts on the spare headset. It looks like we've got a guest in the booth. It's Mike Emmerich. Hi, Doc. And Doc did the whole first period of the broadcast.
Oh, wow.
And I remember thinking, well, normally I think about consider the listener. Who's the person on the other end of the radio? And sometimes, well, what if Doc's tuned in today? What would he want to know about the game? I said, Doc, have you ever seen a game with 9 defensemen dressed? And he said, no, I don't think so. I said, well, you're seeing it today. The Crunch had so many injuries and call-ups. There were 9 defensemen. Luke Witkowski was skating as a forward in this game, and that comes in later in the story. Luke was having a great game. He had a couple shots, pounding mitts with the guys. Syracuse ends up losing. It's unfortunate. Get on the bus, and we're going back to Syracuse. And halfway between Syracuse and Wilkes-Barre, halfway between Hershey and Syracuse, the bus breaks down in Wilkes-Barre, side of the road. And this is going to throw off a lot of travel plans. One guy switched his flight, got a taxi to get to the Wilkes-Barre airport so he could fly to Maine the next day, tried to get pizza delivered to the side of the highway. That didn't work. I plugged in my iPad to the speaker that's on the bus because everybody's kind of
not in a good
upset,
mood.
right?
You're not in a good mood.
And I punched in the Christmas channel, and I swear the first song that came on was Frank Sinatra, I'll Be Home for Christmas. And everybody laughed. It kind of broke the tension. A new bus was arriving shortly thereafter, but I figured I needed to thank Mike Emmerich for this day. I had a great time calling the game with him. And so I'm painting the picture all of this in an email, thanking him. We're on the bus. I'm telling him the whole story. And the next day, as fate would have it, I got back to New Jersey and had dinner at a restaurant on Frank Sinatra Boulevard. Okay, fast forward, months later, Luke Witkowski is up with the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah.
It's the Stanley Cup final. And Luke tells me the story about how he goes into the Lightning dressing room. All the media is huddled around Steven Stamkos' locker. Want to talk to the captain, right?
Yep.
There's one member of the media sitting at Luke Witkowski's stall. It's Mike Emmerich wanting to ask Luke Witkowski about that night between Syracuse and Hershey. And that's the story.
That's a great story.
6 years ago today.
There was a lot of panic for
What a
those
story.
guys.
That's the shortest I've ever told that story, for the record. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll tie up some loose ends. The story with the Olympics, what's the latest there? We'll get you ready for the Knights and the Tampa Bay Lightning, who we just talked about, and their prospects. A lot of call-ups for that group as well. We'll be right back. This is Nighttime at Noon on Fox Sports. Well, thank goodness the Knights made that goal inconsequential. That was one that Vegas was not happy to see go in because one had just been taken off the board. But as it turned out, the Islanders weren't done. They took a 3-2 lead, and then Shea Theodore tied at 3-3 before the Knights pulled out the shootout victory against the Islanders yesterday. The win for Robin Lehner, and Vegas has won 5 straight. They're 20-11 on the year, the second most wins in the National Hockey League. You're listening to Nighttime at Noon. It's 12:50 Pacific Time. A few minutes left on the program. And as we get closer and closer to the Christmas holiday, don't forget to get your presents. You can get exclusive Golden Knights gear. Visit one of the Vegas Golden Knights official team store locations, the Armory at T-Mobile Arena, the Arsenal at City National Arena, and the website vegasteamstore.com. vegasteamstore.com. They even have a Twitter handle for the merchandise. It's at VGK Gear. At VGK Gear. So pull up the Twitter and you can find yourself some cool Golden Knights stuff on there. I did some shopping.
Oh, Dan.
Before.
You're stressing me out just talking about that. I'm going to be sprinting around the next 3 days.
I'll tell you when we're done with the show, guess where I'm going?
Yeah.
Downstairs to the Arsenal. Don't forget. The cool thing is, every time I seem to go through the Arsenal
something
here,
new.
There's something new. It's incredible. The range of stuff is spectacular. So check it out. Obviously, the Arsenal, the Armory, and online vegasteamstore.com. With Shane Hnidy, I'm Dan D'Uva. Thanks for tuning in to Nighttime at Noon. Just a few minutes left here. Vegas, with 5 consecutive wins, they'll try to make it 6 tomorrow against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I say that with the understanding that there are more games that have been postponed for tomorrow than games that are still left on the schedule. As of this moment,
I think it's just our game.
There are, at the moment, now this could have changed, but at the moment there are a total of 3 games that are still on the schedule. Arizona against Seattle, up in Seattle, is one. Obviously, Vegas against Tampa is one, and the other is Washington and Philadelphia. But there are several other games that have been canceled, or I shouldn't say canceled, postponed for tomorrow. As of today, there's one game, and 5 others have been postponed. Washington, Philadelphia is tomorrow, but tonight it's Minnesota and Dallas. Again, tomorrow it's Vegas and Tampa. So, Shane, the question, small picture here, these couple of days, the NHL has clearly decided the smart thing to do here is to postpone these games. But the bigger picture, has this might relate to the upcoming Olympics in February. How does this all come together in your eyes?
I just don't see how it happens. I don't see NHL players going to the Olympics. You just can't, especially now with all the postponements. You need a window to possibly make them up. I think the risk for the players to go over and the way the protocols are set, in a different country, they could be there for a long time if especially the way we're seeing cases come back to life here. Well, not come back, they've always been, but start to be on the rise again. It's just too much of a risk for players to go over, and I'm sure that the discussions are going on right now, votes, whatever needs to be done between the NHLPA and the NHL. The NHL has said this is up to the Players Association. This is their thing. So that means the players, that the ones that are going to go, and I think we're going to start to hear more and more guys, and they have to come with a decision, because there has to be planning put in place now with everything, all these postponements. When are these games going to happen? How do you put it into what was already a condensed schedule? Well, there's that 3 weeks that they have wide open in February, but at the same time, a lot of buildings are booked. There's other events that have been planned. So the schedule maker, who has been like that for the last 2 seasons, rearranging things, will have another tough task here as they move forward. And my own opinion is I don't see NHL being involved with the Olympics.
And then the question is, would there be substitute players available?
I don't know where it goes from there.
That they could. The Spengler Cup in Canada has withdrawn its participation. So that's in the very short term. That's maybe still a month or so away, but it's becoming increasingly possible, not likely, but possible, that hockey, forget NHL players, just hockey period, might not be contested in the way we are accustomed to seeing it. Naturally, Canada is the perennial favorite, and if Canada is not participating, how that filters out. There's the whole political side of this and how Western countries have had a diplomatic boycott, but the NHL and the NHLPA are making decisions based on what's best for the players and for the league. separate from all of those political
And it's tough, right? It's tough for players. This is not an easy decision. Sidney Crosby is maybe the last one he would play in. Patrice Bergeron, Alex Ovechkin for Russia. There's some players that know that this is, and they want to compete for their country. They want to play at the Olympics. It's the stage they all play at. But I don't know. I don't think the risk is worth the reward.
And the question now becomes, if there is an announcement, and we've heard possibility of an imminent announcement, whether it comes from the NHL, from the NHLPA, or if it's a joint announcement. In other words, the league has supported the players. You just said that, Shane. The players don't want to be the entity that puts the kibosh on this. The NHL doesn't want to be in a position to do that either, because they have supported the players going, but at some point, if it compromises the schedule, the health concerns, that was built into all of the negotiating. So you would hope that this can be an NHL-NHLPA joint announcement, which, again, is not definitely happening, but it seems imminent without having any inside information. Based on the reports that we've heard and read and talking to other people who are plugged in, it seems that an announcement could be coming as soon as today. That may not happen. It may be delayed. There might be some other considerations coming. Let's turn the page quickly, Shane. Tampa Bay Lightning tomorrow. There have been some great games between Vegas and Tampa the last few years, and the two-time Stanley Cup champs.
I remember a certain game in year one right around this time of the year. Shea Theodore was the hero in that one. What was that? 2 seconds left, power play goal. But, yeah, it's a very dangerous team. Their captain, Steven Stamkos, you have dangerous players. You got to limit their opportunities. This is a team that's won back-to-back Stanley Cups for a reason. And just when, like, Vegas started the year, everybody thought maybe they're tired. Nope. They're not tired, and they've been able to battle through injury and guys out of the lineup. A lot like Vegas. I expect a really entertaining game tomorrow.
No Nikita Kucherov. Maybe Braden Point comes back, but we're not quite sure about that.
You can wait one more game.
Yeah. Riley Nash has come over from Winnipeg. We'll see about that. Thanks for tuning in today. Big thanks for joining us. For Shane Hnidy, Dan D'Uva saying good day from City National Arena.